because I'm not, some of the videos I've had to just kind of look over, you know, research a little bit before I do it, because I'm not, you know, I haven't been doing this for 20 years, and I want to make sure I don't, like, mess things up. But all the hate videos and the love videos, I really, just kind of get myself in front of the camera. I'll start talking, and then I'll stop the camera, and then realize I'm, like, not in the right mindset, and then I'll get into the mindset of that sign and just keep talking.
Yeah.
And it helps out a lot. You kind of, I think that's why people, when I talked about what I hated, they really thought that I was being angry about it. But I was just like, no, I'm just feeling you guys.
Yeah. I think they were great. I remember what you said, something about what I love. Wait, what do you love about Cancers?
I found that Cancers they're actually what I think consider to be the funniest sign in the zodiac, and also when they like you, the most loyal of friends. So they're just kind of somebody who will always be in your life that will always make you laugh, and not just in a. I mean, sometimes it's corny humor. I think Cancers have this ability to be completely witty, as well, like at the same time telling the corniest jokes, and not even caring if nobody laughs, just kind of doing it for the sake of bringing humor into the world, I guess.
Have you found Cancers to be the food? Do Cancers hoard food?
Do they the food?
Yeah, they hoard food and other items.
Yeah, no, I've definitely seen that. I've also, all the Cancers I work with in a restaurant, I've seen them all gain a lot of weight and lose a lot of weight.
Oh, wow.
So, and I feel like it's because when they come into the restaurant, they eat a lot of food because they're surrounded by it. But I think Cancers are, because they're emotional, so everything that they do is going to be like out of they're going to eat for emotions, whatever, if they're stressed out. And I think they look at themselves and have a little bit too much pride over their body to let that stay.
Yeah.
So they always end up leaving looking really good.
Well, it's funny you mention that, because this has been my the times I think that one of the main things that's not allowed me to ever gain weight is the Aries moon.
Okay.
But also, if what you just said about they gain some and then they realize, oh, F, I got
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
Yep, this isn't what I need. Yeah, but that Aries moon, that makes sense. I've very rarely met an overweight Aries or Aries moon.
Yeah.
You just can't meet those. You're too active.
And also, it's like a little bit of it's not like the Leo moon where it's prideful, but it's like, wait a minute, I'm letting myself get tubby. It's like it's not going to allow that to happen.
Yes, you won't even get there. That's just, and if you do, you kind of, you do it all. You're all or nothing. So you're not going to just lose 5 pounds. You're gonna look really good. Yeah.
So, what about when you train? Because we had Jen here, so she's how to train an Aries. What about a Taurus? I think they'd be maybe a natural at anything involving food and stuff like that.
Yeah, I don't know. They normally are, especially the Taurus Geminis, like the end of, more like in the middle of May.
Mm-hmm.
They're just really easy to train, and I think it's because like the more communicative parts of them that come in through being closer to Gemini, or even if they are Gemini closer to Taurus, they aren't afraid and they can talk. But sometimes Tauruses, in general, if they're super Taurus, are very reserved and don't speak. And the majority of serving, I believe, and this is probably just me, but I think it's just a show. I'm here to put on a show, and I could know absolutely nothing about the food. But if you like me, like, this is how I make my money. So right. I'm going to put on a show. And Tauruses aren't really like that.
So they'd be better at being like a chef than being a server.
Yes. Yeah, chef or even a manager, because they want to be able to take care of the table. Like, servers don't need to make sure that every guest leaves happy. That's the manager's job.
Right.
So Tauruses make pretty good managers. They do get really upset, though, because they're really by the book. And They don't like the gray areas of things. And so you're dealing with a bunch of, 19 to 25-year-old servers who just don't give a crap about their job, and they can get pretty irritated.
Yeah, I would think they'd get pretty. If you want to upset a Taurus, it's like the bovine on their territory. So if you mess with the bovine's territory, you're going to get gored. Okay.
Yeah.
I would think with the Taurus in the restaurant business, if the books don't add up at the end of the night, somebody's getting gored.
Yes. No, this is true. They'll stay I work in the office in the morning, so I kind of clean up the manager's mess at night. And if a Taurus closes, I'll get like tons of notes from them. Just like, I tried this, and even I had 2 managers that had Taurus risings, and they'd be like that too. They would just be like, I'm really sorry, I was here for an extra hour trying to figure this out, and I could just like imagine them sitting in the office just fuming, and nothing adds up, and not knowing what to do, and I just kind of look at it and I'm like, I don't care, all right.
Yeah, so they're literally like the bovine who will not budge off the territory. They're not leaving the territory of the restaurant.
Yeah.
Well, would Gemini try some trickery or something? Would they try to,
Geminis actually, they are some of the best servers in general, but they do, they run their mouth a lot. But because it is like a show, I think Geminis just kind of enjoy it, and they don't get nervous. And because people are that have never served don't understand how much of putting yourself out there it is, and they'll come in and they just get really nervous, and they're like, I have to talk to these people I don't know on a regular basis and be nice to them. And Geminis, they're just, I don't know, I think they're the best at serving. And they just don't care, and they let people's opinions of them brush off their shoulders.
Yeah, so they're so dexterous that it does make mentally and physically often. So it would make sense that they'd be good at serving. But it just occurred to me what you said about the it's putting on a show. A lot of people who get into acting, they go down to L.A. and try to make it in acting. They end up working as a waiter or waitress. And I always just thought that was just because it was like a job that you don't necessarily need you don't need like a PhD or something. And so you would do it on the side where you're pursuing acting or, whatever it is. But with what you just said, it just occurred to me, well, it's actually a natural job to have if you are an actor, because you kind of have to put on a show, as you just said.
Exactly, yes. And you actually find that a lot of these people, they go to LA to act, they start serving. They make a lot of money in LA because you get higher hourly in California, and you get these big tips because you're constantly serving people with more money, and they turn into career servers.
Right.
And they'll pretend like they're actors, but in reality, they should probably just say, hey, I'm a career server now, and I'm doing pretty well for myself.
Yeah, I had a friend of mine in law school. Her boyfriend / fiance, he worked at some of the higher end restaurants in SF, and I forget exactly what he would make in tips, but it was pretty impressive.
Yeah, you can make some money.
Yeah.
I
was like, damn, dude, you're like a stripper or something. He's like, yeah, basically.
Basically, yeah. And you kind of do feel like that sometimes. You're like, I just did so many things that I am not proud of.
Oh no!
Because I wanted your money, and I'm fully dressed when I'm serving. Right. I'm dressed in the most managed penguin suit ever. But the things that you laugh at, you'll laugh at any old man's racist joke, and you walk away and you're like, I didn't do that. But you do it all for money, and it's a very weird thing to do. But you can make good money if you know how to do it. And, that's why it's really just a show. Yeah.
I guess if you're a Libra, it would, Libras are good at, like we said before, with sandbagging. And I guess if somebody cracked a racist joke at me, I don't know if I could have the patience to tolerate it, because my North Node is in Libra, so I'm supposed to be developing those skills. But,
okay.
But,
yeah, no, I think there's some people who just can't handle it. They'll be like, huh. And they just turn around, walk away, and then they have to tell every single server around them about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly I can't believe this happened.
Yeah. I wouldn't be able to keep it to myself. I'd have to have an outlet for it.
Yeah. It becomes a community when you work in a restaurant. Yeah. You just definitely, you become best friends with everyone that's around you because you're just able to, whine and complain about all your tables.
Yeah. Now, what about Leo? Because we did Cancer earlier, so we'll skip over Cancer. Leo, do they like the attention, or how do they operate as being a server?
Yeah, Leos, and it's actually funny because the only Leos I work with right now either have a Gemini moon or a Gemini rising. Mm-hmm. And so they're very communicative Leos. But they do really well, and they're very prideful. So yeah, they don't ask for a lot of help, and they tend to, if something happens, they tend to take it very personally, which or go into their own little world. They're not the type that are gonna share about every one of their tables, but and I feel like it's because they don't want anyone to look down at them if they were telling a story between themselves and their table, and then someone was like, why did you say that to their table? Right. Leos don't want to hear any of that. So, but they're kind of like an island, I feel like. When a Leo is serving their table, they just want to be at their table. They have other people run their food for them, and they don't ask for help.
Yeah, it's very sensitive to humiliation, for lack of a better word. It's like a king or queen who does not want to be embarrassed in front of their the subjects, which would be perhaps the other wait staff.
Yeah, the wait staff and the servers. Yes, no, they really are. Yeah. I think though, because I do really like Leos. I just feel like I get along with them really well, and people give me crap for that on my comments on my YouTube videos all the time. But I feel like they don't want to ruffle anyone's feathers, especially not at work, and they take it very professionally. And so they're just nice people to be around when you're working with them.
Now, if the Leo makes a mess, does the Virgo get to clean it up? That's the next sign.
Yeah. Virgos are so funny to me in restaurants. And I think it's why that was my first hate video, because I was just having such a hard time with them. Because they will clean up any mess, but they will whine and complain the entire time about how they're the only ones who do anything. And they're just like, if I wasn't here, I don't even know what anyone would do. And they just talk to themselves and clean up. And they always are like, can I help you? And they spread themselves so thin. And, because really, if you're a server, you have your section that you take care of. And that's it. But a Virgo wants to be there for everybody else too.
Yeah. Have you seen this book, Dark Side Dark Side Astrology at Work?
I've seen it. I haven't, because I think someone sent me a message about it.
I just remember she had the one with Virgo, and it literally was exactly what you just described, except it wasn't in that she used an office example where it was the boss wants to fire you because you're constantly complaining about having to clean up other people's messes, but you're the only person who ever they can't fire you because you're the only person at the office who ever read the manual on how to operate the new computer system. So you're the only person who knows how to make it work, so they can't fire you.
That's exactly true. Oh my gosh, that's so funny. That's exactly it's these people with a lot of Virgo in their chart do they know the ingredient to every single entree that we sell, and they know all of everything that you're supposed to do to the standard of the restaurant that they work at.
Yeah, I think
so. They're the best trainers.
She's got one for the one Dark Side in Love, and what you just said about knowing every ingredient. And I've got Mars and Virgo. I totally related to this. She said something about you're the person who shows up at the party, but you bring your own, organic ginseng tea, and you bring your own food because you don't know what they're going to be serving.
Yes. Oh, that's funny. Because I've also known that when I throw a party, and I'll be actually, no, not when I throw a party, because I normally have to throw it over the Virgos, because when the Virgo throws a party, they only bring enough for themselves.
Oh.
And I've noticed that, because they'll be like, I'm going to throw this party, and everyone's going to come over, and then they'll be like, they'll say BYOB, but normally, you, as a Libra, you understand that people aren't always going to do that. So if you want to host a party, you need to provide enough for them to keep the party going. And Virgos, they'll make their little drink and they'll hide it in the fridge.
Oh, it makes so much sense. It's hyper efficient.
Mm-hmm.
So they're thinking, oh, BYOB, yeah, I just bring my 300, I'm on a diet, of course, being Virgo, so 300, my 300 calorie kale meal,
Yes.
and not, like you said, the Libra, because Libra and Virgo are very, they're neighbors, and neighbors are oftentimes very different. So, like you said, you're a Libra, so you would instinctually know you got to bring a little extra. And would Cancer bring extra, but just for themselves because they like to hoard food?
Yeah. A lot of Cancers will come in with like a 24-pack of beer and hold it in their hand the whole time.
So true. Oh, my God. 24-pack. Yeah, absolutely. Because what if, number one, for yourself, but also what if extra people show up or something?
Yeah, I know. And then you're like, most Cancers are really nice, like especially at parties. They're like, here, have a beer. And you give it up, or like, try my food. You want to share it, but you want people to be really happy about it. If someone were to just like take a beer, you'd probably be upset because you didn't get to bestow that kindness onto them.
At our fundraiser, we had a fundraiser, what was a Halloween fundraiser, and I'm a Cancer, and I ended up working in the kitchen. I don't know what I had volunteered to do, whatever I was supposed to be doing, but I somehow ended up in the kitchen, and it worked well because I'm not good in like crowds.
Okay.
Cancer, and so working in the kitchen with the handing out the food worked really well.
Oh yeah, and you're like, here, have this.
Yeah, it was a complete.
Does it look pretty?
Yeah, it was a natural, and yeah. Do you have time? We're getting near the top of the hour. If we can at least quickly go through the other, we got to Virgo.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and we'll go through how they train, because if we only do 6, the other 6 signs are going to get upset. Particularly the Capricorns. They might be busting kneecaps.
The Capricorns and the Sagittarius are going to get really mad if I don't talk about them.
Yeah. So we don't want any the mountain goat mafia showing up or anything.
That's true.
Okay, so we'll take a break and get you back on.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay, folks, you're listening to KOWS 107.3 FM, Occidental, California, community radio for West Sonoma County, streaming on the World Wide Web at www.cows.fm. So we're at the top of the hour. We'll take a little break, put the loop on, and we will be back in a few minutes.
Really well, just from the nostalgia basis. So any
Libras, we are very, we don't care about anything, really. Like, nothing really bothers us until it actually, really does. And then we get really self-righteous about it. So I do have an issue with being mean to my tables my guests on occasion. And, there's my phone. And also my bosses. If I don't like something, if something's not fair, which fair is a big Libra word, I will get really upset. And I work with about 15 other Libras because Libras naturally fall into this line of work. And we will all, if somebody just does something to upset us, it's not fair, and we're fuming for the rest of the day.
Yeah, I think Libra is just as much oriented towards warfare as Aries, but it has to be warfare to right some type of wrong. Mm-hmm. Dwight Eisenhower had a big old massive pile up in Libra. And, and he masterminded, kicking Hitler out of Europe. So
he didn't figure that out.
I think that's a pretty good example of, a Libra, but, it's the peacemaker, not and sometimes you got to throw some blows to make the peace.
Yeah, people always, because I'm really good, and most Libras are, and if I'm training a Libra or if a new Libra comes in, I'm like, they always figure out a way to just come in and charm everybody, and they move their way up really quickly. And then all of a sudden, 6 months later, people are like, what happened to you? You're not as charming as you used to be.
Oh.
And I don't know, you just get into trouble all the time. I could talk about me in this forever, but Libras are they will find something to be angry about, and they will they will just keep beating that horse until they can fix it.
If
they can't, they'll leave.
It's the velvet, the iron fist and the velvet glove.
Yes.
And maybe sometimes the velvet glove comes off, and then we're like, whoa, that's an iron fist.
Yeah, sometimes you're just not as diplomatic as you want to be, and you look back and you're like, did I just say that? Oh, man.
My sister's a Libra, and she said that I don't know if she came up with this on her own or if she heard it. I wouldn't be surprised if she came up with it on her own. She said the word, the B word, which I can't say on the air. She said it stands for being in total control of herself.
I've heard that before.
Yeah, okay, so she got it. So
yeah.
I'm like, yeah, that's kind of I get that. There you go, Libra.
Mm-hmm. That's the ultimate goal, is to be able to maintain perfect balance. But as I've heard from a lot of different people on all my What I Hate About videos, they always say, you know what I hate about Libras? Because I'm one.
Yeah.
And they say, because they're supposed to represent the scales, but I've never met a balanced Libra.
Right. It's seeking balance.
Mm-hmm. We're seeking balance.
Yeah. So now,
constantly.
So Scorpio, let's say if the scales get unbalanced, we know what sign comes next. What sign loves crisis more than anything? Scorpio. So training a Scorpio.
Training a Scorpio. Scorpios can go, there really are, in my mind, two completely different Scorpios. One of them they're like so weird and socially awkward, and the other ones are very manipulative and charming. And it really depends on, I think maybe just kind of how they were raised. I met a few homeschooled Scorpios, and I don't think there's anything wrong with being homeschooled, if that's what you want to do. But for some reason, I don't think it works really well with Scorpios because they just seclude themselves and isolate themselves. And when they actually have to come out and talk to people, they just don't know what to do. And Scorpios don't care about what other people think of them.
Right.
And so they don't even care that their personality is making everybody else feel awkward. And for Libra, that upsets me.
Oh, that is so true.
Yeah. My husband's a Scorpio, and when I take him out places and people ask him questions and he just kind of looks at him, and I have to hit him. I get so mad. I'm like, you just made everybody feel weird. Libras don't like that.
They enjoy that. It provokes a little crisis. And like in their mind, provoking crisis is good because it shakes things up. So,
That's true. But
what's his moon
they
sign?
understand money, so they are good.
Joint
they make money when they're serving tables.
What is his moon sign, if I may ask?
He has a Cancer moon.
Scorpio sun, Cancer moon.
And he's an Aries rising.
So he'll be good with your guys' sun, with a very intensely protective Scorpio sun, Cancer moon. So anybody who looks at your sun the wrong way, it's going to be like an eagle came down, like an eagle with also like a cobra and an eagle.
Uh-huh. It's very silent and swift.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. He's my little, because I can't read comments on all of my YouTube videos because especially being pregnant, it depends on what my mood is in.
Yeah.
Like if I'm able to brush off things or if all of a sudden it affects me personally, and I don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
So he goes in and he reads my comments on YouTube every night and blocks people for me.
See, that's sweet. The mountain goat stomping on, well, he's not a mountain goat, he's a Scorpio. That's the,
Scorpion.
Yeah, Scorpion. He's just literally stinging people to death on YouTube.
Mm-hmm, he is. And he enjoys it, and so it's like his way of protecting me.
Yeah. Okay.
And he has a daughter already, and he is very protective of her.
Yeah. So, Scorpio, and then we have, so we've had crisis at the restaurant. There's some type of crisis that the Scorpio was involved in. And now we have the sign Sagittarius. There's a guest who comes on this show, and he did, Austin is his name, Austin Kopic, and he did this great article called Horoscopes. It was like what horror movie correlates to which sign. And all I remember, it was a really, really cool article, one of my favorites of all time. And one of the one for Sagittarius, all I remember is he called it the Doom Super Soldier of the Zodiac. So what's the Doom Super Soldier of the Zodiac like in a restaurant context?
In a restaurant. Well, I always didn't think of Ted Bundy.
Whoa, he's a double Sag.
Yes.
Yeah.
And whatever I think of as Sagittarius, because they are so hard to infiltrate. Like they don't like anybody. And I always find that really funny because as soon as you just kind of get in, in a Libra, like, which was what I am, we definitely want to make people like us at any cost. And so, of course, I spend a lot of time trying to infiltrate a Sagittarius walls, and that if I'm training one, or if they say or already work there before I come into the job, they're very cold, and they don't like new people, and they don't like meeting new people. It takes a long time, and then as soon as you break all that down, then they're very, almost like too sweet and too loving.
Yeah. Well, it's ruled by Jupiter, which can take things can overdo things.
Yes. So it's definitely like, you're like, wow, you hated me for a year, and then now you just blow up my phone every day.
Well, it's
calling me to hang out.
It's almost like a religious fanatic where, like, they hate the other religion or they love the religion,
Yeah.
And so, like, that was what I think Austin got at with that article, is it's like, once they're possessed by the spirit of a crusade, they won't stop. So it's like, I guess what you're saying is, once they like you, they blow up your phone. It's like a preacher who's just going on and on and on and on.
Yes.
That's kind of that Sag thing.
No, it's true. And they're also the people, like, in a restaurant or in another job, they want to work their way up and be the best thing that they can possibly be at a restaurant or wherever else they are. We like to call them, the kings and queens of, I don't want to swear online, but we call them the kings and queens of, like, the crap. Like, this is all you're doing. You're like, you've somehow conquered this world of crap that we live in.
Right.
But that's what they do, because if they're going to do something, they're not going to stop until they've made it into a position of power and authority over everybody else, or a position that they deem worthy in their mind.
So they basically will stop right when they get to the cusp of, it sounds like Capricorn, when you say power and authority.
Yes.
Which of course, comes after Sag. So we better... do we want to watch what we say because of the Mountain Goat Mafia, or do we just want to be straight up about it?
Well, if I say it, it's okay. You won't get anyone hating on you. I'm okay with it.
Okay, I'll let you take you live out, in Texas, right? Wait, where
yes,
do you live?
yes.
Yeah.
I live in Austin, Texas.
Oh, okay. So, they can go down there. They will. Anyways, Mountain Goat Mafia in the restaurant context. I think they'd make good managers, but what?
They would, except that being a manager is, I don't understand why Capricorns hate when I say this, because I just think I'm giving them a compliment, but they're better than that in their mind.
Oh,
they don't
being management, even.
Yeah, at a restaurant, because it's still a restaurant, because you're still on your feet, you're still like working long hours, and you're not getting as much money.
Right.
And Capricorns are efficient. And so they need to work the shorter hours and make them more money, and invest and have enough time to do investments on the side, things like that. And when you work in a restaurant and you're a manager, you really work 60 to 80 hours a week.
Do they want to own the restaurant?
Yeah, they would own a restaurant, but they'd probably also look into it and be like, well, the majority of restaurants fail. So unless I have an amazing idea that's not going to fail and that will turn into a chain one day, I'm not even going to bark up this tree.
So they might invest in a restaurant.
Yes.
Maybe Cancer would own the restaurant. Maybe Capricorn would invest in it if it like you said, if they have a chance of having an empire of restaurants, a chain.
Yeah. If they could see that this was going to work out, I feel like they're very conniving this way. That's not conniving. That's so the wrong word. I'm bad at words.
They are conscious of their station in life.
Yes. Yes.
See, I'm trying to get with my Libra North Node, so
yeah.
rather than conniving, they're very conscious of their station.
Yes. Sometimes I just say things I shouldn't and make people get mad. I'm like, I didn't even mean that word. I'm dumb. I don't even own a dictionary. Just let it go. Why are you taking my dumb? That's kind of what I had to write on my what I hate about Capricorn's video. Just be like, hey, look at me. I'm dumb. You're hating on me so bad for hating you, but can't you just look at me and say I'm dumb? Because that's what I would do. If someone started like ripping on my sign, I'd look at that person and be like, they're dumb, and just walk away. I don't get.
Yeah, if you get a chance, check out her video. What she's talking about, Alyssa. What would be the title of that one if they wanted to find it? Why I Hate Capricorn?
Well, what I hate about Capricorn.
Okay.
Yeah.
So after Capricorn, we get the oddball of the zodiac, Aquarius.
Aquarius. They, because Aquariuses are an air sign, and no one believes they're an air sign because they're the water bearer. But I always feel like there's very few Aquarius that work in restaurants. Kind of like there's very few Capricorns. And I feel like it's this way because they have their own drive and their own ideas, and they want to say not always color in the lines.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And working for something, and they'll get into the restaurant industry and then they drop out, and it's just because they don't have enough control. And you think that you do. Like, you think, okay, I'm making my own money, I'm making my own tips. But restaurants have a lot of rules. There's, like, a lot that goes into it. And there's a lot of things like, getting just, I don't know, just kind of on top of you. People are on top of you at all times, making sure you don't mess up.
Right.
And Aquarians don't like that.
Yeah, they want freedom.
Yes, freedom. And you don't get freedom there.
Yeah.
You're constantly having to serve other people that are mean to you, and you're trying to please your managers who are giving you rules that you don't understand or believe in. And so they just leave. And I don't find Aquarians to be whiny. They just leave.
Yeah, it's like the ghost bolter.
Yeah. Or I think a Virgo would stay in a restaurant forever and just whine and whine and whine and complain. But an Aquarius is just going to be like, yep, this is no longer for me, and you'll never see him again.
It's almost like a lightning bolt comes down. They like zap into a UFO, and you just they're off in another. It's like they're off. They
go off into with their alien family, and you're like, that's where you're from. That's why I didn't get you.
That makes sense.
All right.
Yeah. It's like I think a Burning Man is very Aquarian. I have a friend who's really into Burning Man. She's like 6 planets in Aquarius, or maybe not 6, but like a lot of planets in Aquarius. And I was like, yeah, I see why if somebody has a natural attunement to Burning Man, working in a restaurant where there's a ton of rules, it might be kind of challenging.
Yes.
Unless it was some sort of like crazy restaurant where like they just had a bunch of food and people just grabbed whatever they wanted.
Yeah, and they're like, yeah, just go crazy.
Yeah, and then just paid whatever they wanted or something.
Mm-hmm. Yep. The Aquarius can handle that. That would be different.
Yeah. And maybe it'd be in like some really weird, odd setting that you would never expect to see a restaurant. Like, I don't know what, but
definitely, I could dig all that. That works. Yeah. Aquarius would like that. Aquarians should make more restaurants like that.
Yeah, and you just get your mind blown when you walk in, like, whoa.
Yeah.
Like, you can't even explain it to your friends. You're like, look, dude, you just got to go there. I don't even know how to explain what the heck this place is about.
It's just really strange. Yeah. I asked for, chocolate chips and my meatballs, and they did it.